41 years on this planet, and I'm standing in my own kitchen making my own birthday cake from a box mix. The irony tastes bitter, like the discount vanilla extract I'm using because my wife forgot to buy the good stuff. Again. Tessa Halden hasn't mentioned my birthday in 3 weeks. Not once. The kitchen is full of streamers, red and gold, her favorite colors, but none of them are for Cole Halden. The banner stretched across our dining room archway reads, "Congratulations, Marcus Ventor, Regional Vice President, corner office with a view of the river. He's arriving in 20 minutes to a house full of applause, handshakes, and my wife's undivided attention. I've been watching this unfold for weeks. The phone calls that end when I walk into a room. The new clothes she bought with money from our joint account. Clothes I've never seen her wear around me. The way she hums while getting ready for work, like she's preparing for something more exciting than quarterly reports and staff meetings. The calendar on our refrigerator tells the whole story. Today, March 15th, is circled in red ink with Marcus's party, 7 p.m., written in Tessa's careful handwriting. My birthday, the same date for 41 consecutive years, isn't mentioned anywhere. She planned this party for the only day she knew I'd notice she forgot. The problem is, I noticed 3 weeks ago, and I started digging. "Cole, are you almost done in there?" Tessa's voice carries from the living room where she's arranging flowers. "People will be here soon." People. Not guests. Not friends. People. Like I'm the hired help, instead of the guy who's been paying half the mortgage for 15 years. "Just finishing up," I call back, stirring chocolate frosting that came from another box. The kind of frosting that tastes like chemicals and regret. I've been a maintenance supervisor at the regional hospital for 12 years. I fix things. Broken pipes, faulty wiring, jammed doors that won't open when they should. I'm good at finding problems and solving them. It's amazing what you can learn when you apply those same skills to your marriage. Her car's GPS history was the first crack in the wall. 17 trips to the Waterford Inn over the past 2 months, always Thursdays, always between 2 and 5 p.m. I cross-referenced those dates with Marcus's calendar, the one Tessa accidentally left open on our home computer last week. Every Thursday afternoon, he blocks out 3 hours for strategic planning sessions. Strategic planning. Right. The Waterford Inn charges $140 for their cheapest room. I found the receipts in her purse, tucked behind her insurance cards like she thought I'd never look there. 12 receipts, all paid for with her credit card. The same card she uses for groceries and gas, thinking I don't check the statements. I check everything now. "Cole!" Tessa's voice has an edge to it. "The doorbell just rang. Can you get that?" Through our kitchen window, I watch Marcus Ventor step out of his silver BMW. He's wearing a suit that costs more than I make in a week, and he's carrying a bottle of champagne that probably costs more than our monthly electric bill. His hair is perfectly styled, his smile is perfectly practiced, and his hand is perfectly steady as he rings our doorbell again. "Coming," I say, but I don't move toward the door. Instead, I walk to our refrigerator and pull out the cake I picked up this morning. Custom order from Sweetland Bakery downtown. White fondant, black lettering, ordered under a fake name and paid for with cash. The message reads, "Congratulations on your promotion and your affair." The bakery didn't ask questions. I tipped well. I can hear Tessa greeting Marcus at the front door. Her laugh is different around him. Lighter, younger, like she's trying to convince herself she's still 25 instead of 39. I hear other voices now, her sister Janet, her co-worker Patricia, Hazel Corvin, her best friend since college, and the woman who's been helping plan these Thursday afternoon meetings. Hazel deserves special mention. She's the one who provided alibis when Tessa needed them. Girls' lunch and shopping trips and book club meetings that never involved books. I have the text thread between them, saved to a flash drive that's currently hidden in my toolbox. 43 messages over 2 months, all about covering for Tessa's extracurricular activities. The best part? Hazel thinks I'm too stupid to figure it out. She's been dropping hints for weeks, trying to make me suspicious. Tessa's been working so hard lately, she said last Sunday. All those late meetings with Marcus. I hope she's not overdoing it. She wanted me to catch them. The question is why. I pick up both cakes, mine and theirs, and head toward the living room. Through the doorway, I can see 20 people gathered around our coffee table, drinking wine and eating appetizers that Tessa ordered from the expensive catering place downtown. Marcus is holding court near the fireplace, telling some story that has everyone laughing. Everyone except me. Tessa sees me coming with the cakes. Her smile falters for just a moment, probably wondering why I made myself a birthday cake when she's hosting a party. Then she notices the professional bakery box in my other hand, and her smile returns. "Oh, good," she says. "You got the cake." "I got a cake," I say. 2 of them, actually. I set my homemade chocolate disaster on the kitchen counter where it belongs. Then I carry the bakery cake into the living room, where 20 people are about to learn something new about their host and guest of honor. The room falls quiet as I place the cake on the table next to the champagne. Not completely quiet. Someone's still talking near the window, but quiet enough that most people can read the message written in elegant black script across the white fondant. Tessa reads it first. Her wine glass slips from her fingers and hits our hardwood floor with a sound like breaking promises. Marcus reads it second. His face goes pale, then red, then pale again. Hazel reads it third, and I watch her expression change from confusion to understanding to something that might be fear. "Cole," Tessa whispers, "what is this?" "It's a cake," I say. "For the promotion and the affair. Congratulations on both." The room is completely silent now. 20 people staring at a cake, at Tessa, at Marcus, at me. Someone's phone buzzes, but no one moves to answer it. Then Marcus's phone rings. His ringtone is some classical piece that probably makes him feel sophisticated. The name on his screen reads Jennifer Ventor, his wife of 22 years, mother of his 3 children, and the woman who received a package from me 1 hour ago. The package contained hotel receipts, timestamps, room numbers, credit card statements, a printed copy of the text thread between Tessa and Hazel, and a note that said, "Your husband is having an affair with my wife. I thought you should know." Marcus stares at his phone like it might explode. It rings 4 times before going to voicemail. Then it immediately starts ringing again. "Aren't you going to answer that?" I ask. "It might be important." He looks at me with something between hatred and panic. His finger hovers over the screen, but he doesn't swipe to accept the call. "Cole," Tessa says again. Her voice is shaking now. "We need to talk." "We are talking," I say. "In front of all your friends. Isn't this what you wanted? A party, celebration, public recognition for your achievements?" Hazel steps forward, and I can see her trying to figure out how to control this situation. She's always been the problem solver in their group, the one who fixes things when they go wrong. But this isn't the kind of problem that gets fixed with clever explanations and social maneuvering. "Let's not cause a scene," she says, her voice artificially calm. "Maybe we should—" "Scene?" I interrupt. "Hazel, this isn't a scene. This is a party, your party, the one you helped plan." I pull out my phone and open the text thread I saved. Start reading aloud. March 3rd, 2:15 p.m. Hazel to Tessa. "Told my husband you're with me at the mall. You owe me lunch." March 10th, 1:45 p.m. Tessa to Hazel. "Can you cover for me Thursday? Marcus booked the same room." March 17th, that's last week. Hazel to Tessa. "Your husband is getting suspicious. Maybe you should cool it for a while." I look up from my phone. Hazel's face has gone completely white. "Should I keep reading?" I ask. There are 40 more messages. Some of them are pretty interesting. Marcus's phone stops ringing, then immediately starts again. This time, he answers. "Jennifer," he says, stepping toward our back door, "I can explain—" No, comes a voice from the phone, loud enough for everyone to hear. You can't explain this. Pack your things. Get out of my house. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow. The line goes quiet. Marcus stares at his phone, then at the cake, then at the 20 people who just heard his wife throw him out. I think you should leave, I tell him. All of you should leave. The party's over. But nobody moves. They're all staring at the cake like it's some kind of exhibit in a museum of broken marriages. Tessa grabs my arm. Cole, please, let me explain. This isn't what it looks like. I pull my arm free and smile at her. The same smile I've been practicing for 3 weeks. Tessa, I say. It's exactly what it looks like. And now everyone knows it. The next morning, I wake up alone in my own house for the first time in 15 years. Tessa spent the night at Hazel's, or at least that's what her text message claimed. I didn't respond to the text. I've stopped responding to a lot of things. My phone has 17 missed calls, 12 from Tessa, 3 from Hazel, 2 from Tessa's sister Janet. I delete them all without listening to the voicemails. Whatever they have to say, I've already heard enough. The house feels different without her here. Quieter, but not in a peaceful way. More like the quiet you get after something breaks, when the noise stops, but the damage is still there, waiting for you to figure out what to do about it. I make coffee and sit at our kitchen table, looking at the mess from last night's party. 20 wine glasses, half-empty appetizer plates, and the remains of 2 cakes. Mine, which nobody touched, and theirs, which nobody wanted to touch after reading the message. The local newspaper is on my doorstep. Same as always. I flip through it while drinking coffee that tastes better than it has in months. Maybe it's because I'm not sharing it with someone who's been lying to me for 2 months. Maybe it's because I finally did something about the problem instead of just fixing everyone else's. Page 6 has a small article about Marcus Ventor. Regional VP takes leave of absence for personal reasons. No details, but in a town this size, details spread faster than newspaper ink. By noon, everyone will know why Marcus is taking his leave of absence. My phone buzzes with a text from my brother Danny, who lives 3 states away but still hears everything through our mother's gossip network. Heard about Tessa. You okay? I type back, better than okay. It's true. I feel better than I have in months. Lighter. Like I've been carrying something heavy and finally got permission to put it down. The doorbell rings at 9:30 a.m. I look through the peephole and see Hazel Corvin standing on my porch, holding 2 cups of coffee and wearing the expression she uses when she's about to ask for a favor. I open the door, but don't invite her in. Cole, she says, we need to talk. No, I say. We don't. Please, just 5 minutes. I brought coffee. She holds up the cups like a peace offering. I recognize them from the coffee shop downtown, the expensive place that charges $6 for what used to cost $2 before they added fancy names and foam art. Keep the coffee, I tell her. I already had some, the cheap kind, from a can. She doesn't leave. Instead, she sets both cups on my porch railing and crosses her arms. What you did last night was cruel, she says. What I did last night was honest, I reply. There's a difference. Tessa made a mistake. People make mistakes, Cole. That doesn't mean you destroy their lives over it. I lean against my doorframe and study Hazel's face. She's trying to look concerned, but there's something else underneath. Something that looks almost like satisfaction. How long have you known? I ask. Known what? How long have you known about Tessa and Marcus? She hesitates, which tells me everything I need to know. I suspected for a few weeks, she says. But I wasn't sure until... You weren't sure until when? Until you helped them plan their Thursday meetings? Until you provided alibis? Until you covered for them 43 times? Her face changes. The fake concern disappears, replaced by something harder. You went through her phone, she says. I went through a lot of things. Phone records, credit card statements, GPS history, hotel receipts. Amazing what you can find when you actually look. That's invasion of privacy. That's marriage. When you share a bank account, a mortgage, and 15 years of your life with someone, privacy becomes a luxury you can't afford. Hazel picks up one of the coffee cups and takes a sip. Her hands are shaking slightly, but she's trying to hide it. "What do you want?" she asks. "Want?" From Tessa. From this situation. What do you want? It's an interesting question. 3 weeks ago, I would have said I wanted my wife back. I wanted our marriage fixed. I wanted things to go back to the way they were before Marcus Ventor and his strategic planning sessions. Now, I want something different. I want the truth, I say. All of it. You have the truth. Tessa made a mistake. She's sorry. She wants to work things out. That's not the truth, Hazel. That's the story you're telling me. The truth is bigger than that. She sets down her coffee cup and looks at me like she's seeing something new, something she didn't expect. "What do you think you know?" she asks. "I think you wanted me to find out about the affair. I think you've been dropping hints for weeks, trying to make me suspicious. I think you wanted this to happen." That's ridiculous. Is it? You're the one who suggested Tessa apply for the promotion that put her in Marcus's department. You're the one who encouraged her to attend those after-work networking events where she met him. You're the one who offered to provide alibis when things got complicated. Hazel's face goes pale, but she doesn't deny it. "The question is why," I continue. "Why did you want my marriage to explode? What do you get out of it?" She doesn't answer. Instead, she picks up both coffee cups and starts walking back toward her car. "This isn't over, Cole," she says without turning around. "Yes," I call after her. "It is." But I'm wrong about that. It's not over. It's just beginning. At 2 p.m., Tessa comes home. She uses her key to unlock the front door, which surprises me. I expected her to knock or ring the doorbell, or somehow ask permission to enter the house she's been living in for 15 years. She looks tired. Her hair is messy, her makeup is smudged, and she's wearing the same clothes from last night's party. The expensive black dress she bought for Marcus's celebration. "We need to talk," she says. "I'm sitting in our living room, reading a book about home repair. It seems appropriate." "Okay," I say. "Talk." She sits on the opposite end of our couch, as far away from me as possible while still being in the same room. "I'm sorry," she begins. "For which part?" "All of it. The affair. The lies. Forgetting your birthday. All of it." "How long?" I ask. "How long what?" "How long have you been sleeping with Marcus?" She flinches like I slapped her. "Cole, I don't think we need to get into specifics." "How long?" 2 months. "How did it start?" "Does it matter?" "It matters to me." She takes a deep breath and stares at our coffee table. The same table where she placed the cake last night. The cake that ended her affair and Marcus's marriage in front of 20 witnesses. It started after the company retreat in January. We were working late on a project, and one thing led to another. "One thing led to another," I repeat. "That's your explanation?" "It wasn't planned, Cole. It just happened." 17 times? It just happened 17 times? She looks up at me, startled. "How do you—" "GPS history, hotel receipts, credit card statements. I know about every Thursday afternoon for the past 2 months. You've been spying on me. I've been paying attention. There's a difference." She starts crying. Not the kind of crying that comes from sadness, but the kind that comes from being caught. It's a sound I've never heard from her before, and I don't like it. "I want to fix this," she says through the tears. "I want to save our marriage." "Do you?" "Yes. I love you, Cole. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you." "When's my birthday?" "What?" "When's my birthday, Tessa?" She stares at me like I asked her to solve calculus. "Today," she says finally, "March 15th. "And how old am I?" Another pause. 41. "What's my favorite food?" Cole, what does this have to do with? What's my favorite food? I don't know. Pizza? What's my middle name? This is ridiculous. What's my middle name, Tessa? She doesn't answer because she doesn't know. After 15 years of marriage, she doesn't know my middle name is James. She doesn't know my favorite food is the meatloaf her mother used to make. She doesn't know I hate pizza because the cheese gives me heartburn. She knows I'm a maintenance supervisor at the hospital. She knows I pay half the mortgage and fix things when they break. She knows I don't complain when she spends money on clothes and expensive dinners with her friends. But she doesn't know me. I think you should stay at Hazel's tonight, I say. Cole, please. I need time to think, and you need time to figure out what you actually want. I want our marriage. No, I say. You want the idea of our marriage. You want the house and the joint bank account and someone to split the bills with, but you don't want me. She tries to argue, but we both know I'm right. She's been treating me like a roommate for months, maybe years. Someone useful to have around, but not someone worth staying faithful to. How long do I have? She asks. For what? To stay at Hazel's. How long before you want me to come home? I think about this question for a long time. How long does it take to rebuild trust? How long does it take to forgive someone for choosing another person over you 17 times? How long does it take to love someone who forgot your birthday while planning a party for her lover? I don't know, I tell her honestly. She nods and goes upstairs to pack a bag. I hear her moving around in our bedroom, opening drawers and closing them again. When she comes back down, she's carrying a small suitcase and wearing a different dress. I'll call you tomorrow, she says. Okay. I love you, Cole. I don't say it back, because I'm not sure it's true anymore. Love is supposed to be about knowing someone, caring about them, putting them first. What we have feels more like habit than love. After she leaves, I sit in my empty house and finish my book about home repair. It occurs to me that some things can be fixed, and some things are broken beyond repair. The trick is knowing the difference. My phone rings at 7 p.m. The caller ID says Marcus Ventor. I answer on the fourth ring. Cole, he says. His voice sounds different than it did last night, smaller. Marcus, I want to apologize. Okay. What I did was wrong, unforgivable. I take full responsibility. Good for you. There's a long pause. I can hear traffic in the background like he's calling from his car. I lost my job today, he says. I heard. My wife filed for divorce this morning. I heard that too. Another pause. What you did last night, he says. That was brutal. That was honest. You destroyed my life. No, I say. You destroyed your life. I just made sure everyone knew about it. My kids won't talk to me. My neighbors won't look at me. I can't show my face anywhere in this town. That sounds like a personal problem. I'm leaving, he says, moving to another state, starting over. Good luck with that. I wanted you to know that Tessa tried to end it 3 weeks ago. She said she felt guilty about you. This is new information, but it doesn't change anything. But you talked her out of it, I say. I convinced her to give us more time. I thought maybe she'd leave you. And when she didn't, I kept pushing. I told her you didn't appreciate her. I told her she deserved better. Maybe she does deserve better. No, he says. She doesn't. She's lucky to have you. I hope she figures that out. He hangs up before I can respond. I make myself dinner, a frozen meal that tastes like cardboard and regret, and think about what Marcus said. Tessa tried to end the affair 3 weeks ago, the same week I found the first hotel receipt, the same week I started digging deeper into her Thursday afternoon activities. She tried to do the right thing, but he convinced her to keep doing the wrong thing. It doesn't excuse what she did, but it explains why she looked so miserable these past few weeks. Why she stopped humming while getting ready for work. Why she seemed relieved when I confronted them last night. Maybe there's more to this story than I thought. Maybe Hazel knows what it is. I spend the next morning doing what I do best, fixing things and gathering information. The difference is that today, I'm fixing my own life instead of someone else's plumbing. First stop, the bank. I transfer half of our joint savings into a personal account, not to hurt Tessa, but to protect myself. If she decides to empty our accounts and disappear, I want to make sure I can still pay my half of the mortgage. Second stop, a lawyer's office. I don't want a divorce, not yet, but I want to understand my options. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Hendricks, listens to my story without judgment. "Do you want to save your marriage?" she asks. "I want to understand what I'm saving," I tell her. She nods like this makes perfect sense. My advice is to take time before making any permanent decisions, gather information, figure out what you're dealing with, then decide what you want to do about it. Third stop, lunch with my friend Eddie Kowalski. Eddie works in the IT department at the hospital, and he has skills that go beyond fixing computers. "I need a favor," I tell him over sandwiches at our usual diner. "What kind of favor?" "The kind that stays between us." Eddie grins. He's been my friend for 8 years, and he knows I don't ask for favors unless it's important. "What do you need?" I hand him a flash drive containing everything I've gathered so far. Phone records, GPS data, credit card statements, the text thread between Tessa and Hazel. "I need you to look for patterns," I say, "things I might have missed, connections I didn't see." "This is about your wife. This is about my wife, her best friend, and a situation that doesn't add up." Eddie pockets the flash drive. "Give me 2 days. Fourth stop, the Waterford Inn. I want to see the scene of the crime, so to speak. Maybe talk to someone who remembers seeing Tessa and Marcus together. The inn is nicer than I expected. Clean, modern, expensive. The kind of place you go when you want privacy and don't mind paying for it. I approach the front desk with a story I've been rehearsing. "My wife and I are thinking about booking a room for our anniversary," I tell the clerk, a young woman with a name tag that reads Ashley. She mentioned that her boss recommended this place, Marcus Ventor. Ashley's expression changes slightly. "Oh, Mr. Ventor. You know him?" "He was a regular guest. Always booked the same room on Thursday afternoons. Very polite." "Was?" "He hasn't been here in a few days. We heard he left town." "Did he usually come alone?" Ashley glances around the lobby, then leans closer. "Are you a reporter?" "No, I'm the husband." She straightens up, understanding immediately. In a town this size, everyone knows about the cake incident by now. "I'm sorry," she says. "That must have been difficult." "It was educational. Can you tell me anything about their visits? When they started coming here? How they acted together? Anything unusual?" Ashley considers this for a moment. "They started coming here in January. Always the same routine. He'd book the room. She'd arrive 20 minutes later. They seemed happy at first, but lately..." "Lately what?" "Lately, she seemed upset. The last few times I could tell she'd been crying. And he seemed frustrated, like he was trying to convince her of something. This matches what Marcus told me on the phone. Tessa tried to end it, but he kept pushing." "Did you ever see them with anyone else? Another woman, maybe?" "No, just the two of them. Why?" "Just curious." I thank Ashley and leave the inn with more questions than answers. If Tessa wanted to end the affair, why didn't she? If Marcus was pressuring her to continue, why didn't she tell me what was happening? And where does Hazel fit into all of this? My phone buzzes with a text from Tessa. "Can we meet for dinner tonight? I have things to tell you." I text back, 7 p.m., Romano's. Romano's is the Italian restaurant where we had our first date 16 years ago. Neutral ground, public enough to prevent a scene, familiar enough to feel safe. She's already there when I arrive, sitting at a corner table and staring at a glass of wine she hasn't touched. She looks better than she did yesterday. Showered, dressed in clean clothes, makeup properly applied. But there's something different about her expression, something that looks like resolve. "Thank you for coming," she says as I sit down. "You said you had things to tell me." I do. She takes a sip of wine, sets down the glass, and looks directly at me. "I want to tell you the truth. All of it." I'm listening. The affair with Marcus wasn't my idea. Whose idea was it? Hazel's. I lean back in my chair. This isn't what I expected to hear. "Explain." Tessa takes a deep breath. 3 months ago, Hazel came to me with a plan. She said you were holding me back, that I deserved better than a maintenance worker who would never amount to anything. She said Marcus was interested in me, and that I should use that interest to advance my career. And you listened to her. I listened to her because she's been my best friend for 20 years, because she convinced me that you didn't really love me, that you were just comfortable with our routine. Did you believe her? I wanted to believe her. Our marriage had been feeling stale for months. We barely talked anymore. We never did anything together. I felt like we were just going through the motions. She's not wrong about this. We had fallen into a routine: work, dinner, television, sleep, repeat. But I thought that was normal for people who'd been married 15 years. So you started the affair. I started flirting with Marcus at work. Hazel encouraged it, gave me advice on what to wear, what to say. When Marcus asked me to dinner, she said I should go. And when dinner turned into hotel visits, she said I deserved to feel desired again. She said you'd never find out, and even if you did, it would be good for you. A wake-up call. I signal the waitress for a beer. This conversation is going to require alcohol. When did you realize it was a mistake? 3 weeks ago. Marcus started talking about me leaving you, about us being together permanently. I realized I didn't want that. I wanted to end it and try to fix our marriage. But you didn't end it. I tried. I told Marcus I couldn't see him anymore, but he said he'd already told his wife about us, that he was planning to leave her anyway. He said if I backed out now, I'd destroy his marriage for nothing. So you kept seeing him to protect his marriage? I kept seeing him because I was scared and confused, and I didn't know what else to do. Hazel said I owed it to him to see it through. The waitress brings my beer. I take a long drink and think about what Tessa just told me. Where was Hazel when you were crying at the hotel? How did you know about that? The desk clerk remembered you being upset. Hazel said I was being dramatic. She said all affairs are complicated at first, but they get easier. Hazel said a lot of things. Yes, she did. We order food neither of us really wants and sit in uncomfortable silence for a few minutes. Finally, Tessa speaks again. I know this doesn't excuse what I did. I made the choice to betray you. I made the choice to lie to you. I made the choice to forget your birthday while planning a party for another man. But I think Hazel manipulated both of us. I think she wanted our marriage to fail. Why? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. We eat our pasta and talk about practical things. Where she's staying, how long she'll stay there, what we're going to tell people who ask about our marriage. It's the most honest conversation we've had in months, maybe years. When the check comes, I pay it. Old habits. What happens now? She asks as we walk to our cars. Now I figure out what Hazel's real game is, and you figure out what you actually want from our marriage. I want another chance. Then you'll have to earn it. She nods and gets into her car. I watch her drive away, thinking about everything she told me. Some of it rings true. Some of it feels like rationalization. All of it makes me more curious about Hazel Corvin and her motivations. When I get home, there's a message from Eddie on my voicemail. Call me, he says. You're going to want to hear this. I call him back immediately. What did you find? Meet me at Murphy's bar in 20 minutes, he says. And Cole, bring a notepad. This is bigger than you thought. Murphy's bar is the kind of place where hospital workers go to complain about their shifts and drink beer that costs $3 instead of $8. Eddie is waiting in a corner booth with a laptop, 2 beers, and an expression that tells me he's found something important. "Before I show you this," he says, "I need to know how far you want to take this." "What do you mean?" "I mean, what I found could destroy more than just your marriage. It could destroy Hazel's marriage, her job, maybe her entire life. Are you prepared for that?" I think about this question while taking a sip of beer. 3 days ago, I would have said no. 3 days ago, I just wanted to catch my wife cheating and figure out what to do about it. Now I want to know why. "Show me what you found." Eddie opens his laptop and pulls up a spreadsheet. "I analyzed all the data you gave me. Phone records, GPS locations, credit card statements, text messages. Then I did some additional research." "What kind of additional research?" "The legal kind. Public records, employment history, social media analysis. All stuff that's available if you know where to look." He turns the laptop toward me. The screen shows a timeline going back 2 years. "This is when Hazel Corvin started planning your wife's affair," he says, pointing to a date in January of last year. 14 months before it actually happened. "That's impossible. Look at this." He clicks to a new screen showing Facebook messages. January 15th last year, Hazel posts about a girls' night out with Tessa, but look at the location data. The post shows they were at a restaurant downtown, but the GPS data from Hazel's phone shows she was actually at the Waterford Inn. "She was scouting the hotel," Eddie explains, "figuring out their procedures, their privacy policies, which rooms offered the most discretion." Why would she do that 14 months before the affair started? Because she was planning something bigger than an affair. Eddie clicks to another screen. "Look at this." The new screen shows employment records for the regional corporate office where Tessa works. 2 years ago, there was an opening for the position that Marcus Ventor currently holds, regional vice president. 3 people applied for that job. He highlights the names: Marcus Ventor, Patricia Williams, Hazel Corvin. Hazel applied for Marcus's job? She didn't just apply. She was the most qualified candidate. MBA from a good school, 8 years of management experience, excellent performance reviews. But Marcus got the promotion. Why? Because Marcus had something Hazel didn't have. A mentor in the company. Someone who vouched for him, who smoothed the way for his promotion. Eddie clicks to a new screen showing the company's organizational chart. The person who recommended Marcus for the VP position was Tessa's previous boss, a woman named Catherine Mills, who retired 6 months after Marcus got promoted. I'm starting to see the pattern, but I don't like where it's heading. Hazel blamed Tessa for Marcus getting the job? Not exactly. Look at this. Eddie shows me a series of emails between Tessa and Catherine Mills, dating back 3 years. Tessa wrote these emails recommending Marcus for various projects and committees. She praised his leadership skills, his strategic thinking, his potential for advancement. So Tessa was building the case for Marcus's promotion without realizing it. Every email she wrote, every positive comment she made about him went into his personnel file. When the VP position opened up, he had a stack of recommendations from respected employees. Including my wife? Including your wife. And Hazel knew about it because she and Tessa were best friends. Tessa probably told her about every email she sent, every meeting where she spoke positively about Marcus. Eddie closes the laptop and looks at me seriously. Hazel spent 2 years watching the job she deserved go to someone else, partly because your wife unknowingly helped him get it. Then she spent another year planning her revenge. The affair was revenge? The affair was step 1. Look at what happened after your cake incident. Marcus lost his job, his marriage, his reputation. He's leaving town in disgrace. And Hazel gets his position. She's already applied for it. Her application went in yesterday morning, less than 24 hours after Marcus announced his leave of absence. I finish my beer and signal for another. This is bigger than I thought and uglier than I imagined. What about Tessa? If Hazel was targeting Marcus, why destroy my marriage too? Because your marriage was collateral damage. Hazel needed Tessa to have an affair with Marcus to create the scandal that would destroy him. She didn't care what it did to you or your wife. She sacrificed her best friend's marriage to get a promotion. She sacrificed her best friend's marriage to get revenge. The promotion is just a bonus. I think about all the conversations I've had with Hazel over the years. All the times she's been in my house, eating my food, pretending to be my friend. All the times she's given Tessa advice about our marriage, our finances, our future. There's more, Eddie says. About Hazel's marriage. What about it? Her husband filed for divorce 6 months ago. The papers were sealed, but I found references to it in court records. He cited irreconcilable differences and destructive behavior. She's getting divorced? She's already divorced. The decree was finalized last month, but she hasn't told anyone, including Tessa. Why keep it secret? Because divorced women don't give marriage advice. Tessa trusted Hazel's guidance about relationships because she thought Hazel had a successful marriage. If she knew the truth, she might not have listened to her advice about having an affair. Exactly. We sit in silence for a few minutes, processing the scope of Hazel's deception. She manipulated my wife into destroying our marriage and Marcus's marriage, all to get revenge for a job promotion that happened 2 years ago. What are you going to do with this information? Eddie asks. I'm going to give Hazel a choice. What kind of choice? The same choice she gave my wife. She can do the right thing, or I can do it for her. I thank Eddie for his work and drive home through streets that look different than they did this morning. Everything looks different when you understand what's really happening. My phone rings as I'm pulling into my driveway. It's Tessa. Cole, something's wrong. What do you mean? Hazel's acting strange. She keeps asking questions about what I told you at dinner, what you're planning to do next. She seems nervous. Maybe she has reason to be nervous. What do you mean? I mean, I know what she did. All of it. There's a long pause. Can you come over here? Tessa asks. To Hazel's house? I think you need to hear this conversation. What conversation? The one where she explains why she destroyed our marriage to get Marcus's job. So Tessa figured it out too. Maybe our marriage is stronger than I thought. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I tell her. Cole? Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on us. Don't thank me yet, I say. We still have work to do. But for the first time in months, I think we might actually be able to do that work together. Hazel Corvin lives in a townhouse development that tries too hard to look expensive. Fake stone facades, oversized mailboxes, and landscaping that requires more maintenance than most people can afford. It's the kind of place where people live when they want their neighbors to think they're more successful than they actually are. I park behind Tessa's car and walk to the front door. Through the window, I can see both women sitting in Hazel's living room. Tessa looks tense. Hazel looks trapped. I ring the doorbell. Hazel answers, and I can immediately tell she knows why I'm here. Her face has the expression of someone who's been expecting bad news and finally received it. Cole, she says, Tessa said you were coming. We need to talk. I suppose we do. She steps aside to let me in. Her living room is decorated in the same style as her neighborhood, expensive-looking furniture that probably came from a rent-to-own store, artwork that was purchased by the pound rather than the piece. Tessa is sitting on the couch, holding a glass of wine she hasn't touched. She looks up at me with an expression I haven't seen in months. Relief, maybe. Or hope. Sit down, Hazel says, gesturing toward an armchair that faces the couch. I assume you have questions. I have answers, I tell her. The question is whether you want to hear them. I sit down and pull out my phone. Eddie sent me copies of everything he found, organized into a presentation that tells the whole story. 2 years ago, I begin, you applied for Marcus Ventor's job. You were the most qualified candidate, but you didn't get the promotion. Want to know why? Hazel doesn't answer, but Tessa leans forward. Because my wife unknowingly helped build the case for Marcus's promotion. Every positive email she sent about him, every committee she recommended him for, every meeting where she praised his leadership skills. It all went into his personnel file. I show them the emails Eddie found. Tessa's face goes pale as she recognizes her own words. You knew about these emails, I continue, looking at Hazel. Tessa told you about them because she tells you everything. She thought she was sharing good news about a colleague. She didn't realize she was helping him steal your job. Cole, Tessa whispers. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. But Hazel knew. And instead of being angry at the company for their decision, or at Marcus for accepting a job he didn't deserve, she decided to be angry at you. Hazel finally speaks. You don't understand the situation. Then explain it to me. She sets down her wine glass and looks directly at me. For the first time since I've known her, she drops the pretense of being the helpful friend. Your wife cost me a $50,000 a year promotion, she says. She cost me respect, advancement, and financial security. She did it without thinking, without considering how her actions might affect other people. So you decided to cost her a marriage. I decided to give her a taste of what it feels like to lose something important because of someone else's actions. Tessa stands up abruptly. You manipulated me into having an affair to get revenge for a job promotion? I gave you an opportunity to see what you were missing, Hazel replies. You were stuck in a boring marriage with a man who doesn't appreciate you. Marcus offered you excitement, passion, advancement. Marcus offered me hotel rooms and lies. Marcus offered you a chance at a better life. I show them the next part of Eddie's research. Marcus was never going to leave his wife for you, Tessa. He told me that himself. He was using you the same way Hazel was using both of you. That's not true, Hazel says, but she doesn't sound convinced. It's completely true, and you knew it. You knew Marcus would never leave his family, and you knew the affair would eventually be discovered. You were counting on it. I show them the timeline Eddie created. You spent 14 months planning this, scouting hotels, manipulating conversations, building trust so Tessa would follow your advice when the time came. You're paranoid, Hazel says. Am I? Then explain why you applied for Marcus's job yesterday morning. Explain why your divorce was finalized last month, even though you've been telling everyone your marriage is fine. Explain why you've been lying to your best friend for over a year. Tessa turns to stare at Hazel. You're divorced. That's irrelevant. It's completely relevant, I say. You've been giving marriage advice to my wife while hiding the fact that your own marriage failed. You convinced her that affairs are normal, that marriages can survive infidelity, that I would eventually forgive her. But you don't actually believe any of that, do you? Hazel doesn't answer. You wanted our marriage to fail, I continue. You wanted Tessa to be as miserable as you are, and you wanted Marcus destroyed so you could take his job. You can't prove any of this. I don't have to prove it. I just have to share it. I show them the final part of Eddie's presentation. Screenshots of social media posts, email addresses for Hazel's co-workers, contact information for the human resources department at her company. Here's what's going to happen, I tell Hazel. You're going to withdraw your application for Marcus's job. You're going to write a letter of apology to my wife explaining what you did and why you did it. And you're going to stay away from both of us permanently. And if I don't? If you don't, I'll send this information to everyone you work with, everyone you know, and everyone who's considering you for Marcus's position. I'll make sure the whole world knows exactly what kind of person you really are. Hazel looks at Tessa, probably hoping for support. But Tessa is staring at her with an expression of complete disgust. 20 years, Tessa says quietly. 20 years of friendship and you destroyed my marriage for a job. I gave you a chance to see what you were missing. You gave me a chance to lose everything I actually cared about. Tessa stands up and walks toward the door. I'm going home, Cole. To our home. If you'll have me. I look at Hazel one more time. She's sitting alone on her expensive couch in her expensive townhouse, surrounded by the expensive things she bought to make herself feel successful. She looks smaller than she did when I arrived. You have 24 hours to decide, I tell her. Do the right thing, or I'll do it for you. This isn't over, she says. Yes, I reply. It is. I follow Tessa outside. She's standing beside her car, crying. Not the fake crying from yesterday, but real tears that come from real pain. I'm sorry, she says. I'm so sorry for all of this. I know. Can we fix this? Can we fix us? I think about this question. Can we rebuild trust after betrayal? Can we create something better from the pieces of something broken? Can we learn to love each other again, instead of just going through the motions? I don't know, I tell her honestly. But I think we should try. She nods and gets into her car. I watch her drive home, to our home, and think about what comes next. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won, but this isn't over. There are things you don't know, things that will change everything. I delete the message without responding. Hazel can send all the threatening texts she wants. I have everything I need to destroy her if she tries to hurt my family again. But as I drive home, I can't shake the feeling that she's not finished yet. People who spend 14 months planning revenge don't give up easily. I'm right about that, but I'm wrong about what she's planning next. The next morning, I wake up to the smell of coffee and bacon. Real bacon, not the turkey substitute Tessa usually buys. I walk downstairs and find her in our kitchen, making breakfast like she used to do when we were first married. Good morning, she says, without turning around. Morning. I thought we could talk over breakfast, about what happens next. She's wearing jeans and an old sweater instead of her usual work clothes. Her hair is pulled back in a ponytail, and she's not wearing makeup. She looks younger than she has in years. Did you call in sick? I ask. I took a personal day. We have things to figure out. She's right about that. We sit at our kitchen table with coffee and eggs and bacon, trying to have a conversation about rebuilding a marriage that was nearly destroyed by someone we trusted. I want to go to counseling, she says. Together. Okay. And I want to be completely honest with you from now on. About everything. That would be nice. I know it's going to take time to rebuild trust. I know I hurt you in ways that can't be easily fixed. Yes, you did. She nods and takes a sip of coffee. But I want to try. If you're willing to try. I look at my wife, really look at her, for the first time in months. She's 39 years old, she made a terrible mistake, and she's asking for a second chance. Not demanding it, not assuming she deserves it, but asking for it. I'm willing to try, I tell her. We spend the morning talking about practical things, counseling appointments, work schedules, how to handle questions from friends and family. It's the kind of conversation we should have had months ago, before everything fell apart. At noon, my phone rings. The caller ID shows Hazel's number. Don't answer it, Tessa says. But I answer anyway. I want to hear what Hazel has to say now that she knows I've uncovered her plan. Cole, she says. Her voice sounds different. Calmer. We need to meet. No, we don't. Yes, we do. There are things you don't understand about this situation. Things that change everything. Like what? Like the fact that your wife is still lying to you. I look at Tessa, who's watching my face carefully. About what? Meet me at the park on Elm Street in 1 hour. Come alone. If you don't show up, I'll make sure everyone in town knows what really happened between Tessa and Marcus. I already know what happened. No, she says. You know what she told you happened. That's not the same thing. She hangs up before I can respond. What did she want? Tessa asks. She wants to meet. Says you're still lying to me about something. Tessa's face goes pale. I've told you everything. Have you? Yes, everything important. What about everything unimportant? She doesn't answer immediately, which tells me there's something she hasn't shared. Tessa? There's one thing I didn't tell you, but it doesn't matter now. What is it? The night of Marcus's party, after you left. Marcus and we talked. About what? About you, about us, about what happened. And? He told me something about Hazel, something I didn't want to believe. I wait for her to continue. He said Hazel approached him 6 months ago, before the affair started. She suggested that he pursue me, said I was unhappy in my marriage and looking for excitement. So she recruited Marcus too. That's what he claimed. But Cole, there's something else. What? Marcus said Hazel offered to help him get information about you. Personal information. Financial information. Things he could use to convince me that you weren't good enough for me. What kind of information? I don't know. I didn't want to hear it, but Marcus said Hazel had been investigating you for months, looking for dirt she could use against you. I think about this revelation. If Hazel was investigating me, what did she find? And why would Marcus tell Tessa about it? Why didn't you tell me this yesterday? Because I was afraid you'd think I was making excuses, trying to shift blame to Hazel instead of taking responsibility for my own actions. Are you? No. I made the choice to have the affair. I made the choice to lie to you. I made the choice to trust Hazel's advice instead of my own judgment. Those are my failures, not hers. My phone buzzes with a text from Hazel. 45 minutes. Don't disappoint me. I have to go meet her, I tell Tessa. I'm coming with you. She said to come alone. I don't care what she said. We're in this together now. 20 minutes later, we're sitting in my truck outside Elm Street Park, watching Hazel pace back and forth near the playground. She's carrying a manila envelope and checking her phone every few seconds. She looks nervous, Tessa observes. She should be nervous. We get out of the truck and walk toward her. When she sees Tessa, her expression changes from nervous to angry. I told you to come alone, she says to me. And I told you this was over, I reply. But here we are. Fine, you both need to hear this anyway. She opens the manila envelope and pulls out a stack of papers. 6 months ago, I hired a private investigator to look into your background, Cole. I wanted to find something I could use to convince Tessa that she deserved better than you. And what did you find? Nothing. You're exactly what you appear to be. A boring, middle-class maintenance worker with no secrets, no hidden debts, no criminal history, no affairs of your own. Sorry to disappoint you. But the investigator found something else, something about your family. She hands me a document from the pile. It's an official certificate confirming a passing. Your brother Danny, the one who lives 3 states away, he died in a car accident 2 years ago. I stare at the document, confused. That's impossible. I talked to Danny yesterday. No, you didn't. You talked to someone pretending to be Danny. Someone who's been pretending to be your brother for 2 years. Tessa grabs my arm. Cole, what is she talking about? I don't know. Hazel hands me another document. A police report from Danny's accident. Your brother was driving under the influence. He caused a crash involving a family of 4, and none of them survived, including 2 young children. That's not true. It's completely true. And the person who's been pretending to be your brother for the past 2 years is the private investigator I hired. I've been paying him to monitor your communications, to make sure you didn't get suspicious about your brother's sudden personality change. I read the police report. The details match. Danny's age, his address, his physical description. But this can't be real. Why would you do this? Because I needed leverage. I needed something I could use against you if my original plan didn't work. Your original plan was to destroy my marriage. What was the backup plan? The backup plan was to destroy your sanity, to make you question everything you thought you knew about your own life. She hands me the final document from the envelope. It's a contract with a private investigation firm, dated 8 months ago. I've been planning this for a long time, Cole. The affair was just one part of a larger strategy to completely ruin your life. Tessa reads the contract over my shoulder. You hired someone to pretend to be his brother? I hired someone to become his brother, to learn his mannerisms, his speech patterns, his memories, to be so convincing that Cole would never suspect the truth. But why? Because I wanted Cole to know what it felt like to lose everything. His marriage, his trust in other people, his connection to his own family. I wanted him to understand what I felt like when I lost the job I deserved. I look at the documents again, trying to process what she's telling me. My brother Danny, who I've been talking to regularly for 2 years, is actually a stranger paid to deceive me. The phone calls, I say, the text messages, all of it was fake? All of it was carefully scripted to maintain the illusion. The investigator studied your brother's social media posts, his email history, his phone records. He became an expert on Danny's life so he could convincingly replace him in yours. This is insane. This is justice. Tessa steps between Hazel and me. You're sick. You need help. I need what was taken from me, and now I'm going to get it. How? By destroying innocent people? By making sure the people who wronged me understand the consequences of their actions. I hand the documents back to Hazel. What do you want? I want you to withdraw the evidence you have against me. I want you to stop threatening to expose my plan. And I want you to write a letter of recommendation supporting my application for Marcus's job. And if I don't? If you don't, I'll release everything I have about your fake brother to the local newspaper. I'll make sure everyone in town knows that you've been having regular conversations with a paid actor for 2 years. I'll make you a laughingstock. She's right. If this story gets out, I'll be humiliated. People will question my judgment, my intelligence, my ability to recognize deception. It will follow me for the rest of my life. But as I think about her ultimatum, I realize something important. I don't care. Go ahead, I tell her. Release the story. Cole, Tessa says. Are you sure? I'm sure. Hazel, you can tell everyone in town about the fake brother. You can make me look foolish and gullible and naive. But you know what you can't do? What? You can't change the fact that you're a terrible person who destroyed multiple lives to get revenge for a job promotion. You can't change the fact that everyone who knows the truth about your plan will never trust you again. And you can't change the fact that you lost. I haven't lost. Yes, you have. You spent 2 years planning an elaborate revenge scheme, and all you accomplished was proving that you're exactly the kind of person who shouldn't be promoted to a position of authority. I pull out my phone and open the presentation Eddie created. I'm sending this information to your company's human resources department right now, along with copies of the documents you just showed me, which prove you hired a private investigator to harass me and my family. You can't do that. I just did. Hazel lunges toward me, trying to grab my phone, but Tessa blocks her. It's over, Tessa tells her former best friend. You lost. Accept it and move on. Hazel stands there for a moment, breathing heavily, looking like she's considering whether to fight or flee. Finally, she chooses a third option. She sits down on a park bench and starts crying. Not fake crying, like she's done so many times before. Real crying, the kind that comes from the complete collapse of everything you've worked for. 2 years, she says through the tears. 2 years of planning, and for what? For nothing, I tell her. You did all of this for nothing. Tessa and I walk back to our truck, leaving Hazel alone on the bench with her manila envelope and her ruined plans. Are you okay? Tessa asks as we drive home. I will be. I'm sorry about your brother. So am I. We drive in silence for a few minutes, both of us processing everything that's happened over the past few days. What happens now? She asks. Now we go home. We start over. We figure out how to be married to each other instead of just living in the same house. And Hazel? Hazel is no longer our problem. But I'm mistaken. 3 hours later, we receive a call from the police. Hazel Corvin has been arrested on charges of harassment, fraud, and conspiracy. The private investigator she hired has confessed to everything, including posing as my brother and supplying false information about his supposed passing. My brother Danny is alive and well, living 3 states away, completely unaware that someone has been impersonating him for 2 years. The police will contact him tomorrow to explain what happened. It's really over, Tessa says after we hang up with the detective. Yes, it's really over. We're sitting in our living room, holding hands for the first time in months, watching the sun set through our front window. Tomorrow we'll start marriage counseling. Next week we'll have dinner with real friends who actually care about our happiness. Next month we'll take a vacation somewhere neither of us has been before. But tonight, we're just sitting together in our own house, grateful to have survived someone else's elaborate plan for our destruction. Happy birthday, Tessa says suddenly. I know it's 3 days late, but happy birthday. Thank you. Next year I'll remember. I know you will. And I believe her. Because sometimes the best gift you can give someone is a second chance to get it right.